I'm back! Oh, what have we got this time? Well, I did actually want to go and make an inside and outside review of a Tubemeister 36. Tubemeister, what a name. Hughes and Kettner, you know the thing. And I ordered one, and it came in from my friendly Thoman, call him what you will. But what happened is I had it here about 10 days, and I used that thing a little bit, and it sounded rather tinny, so it went back. But just part of the reason why it went back was this one. Don't bother with the Tubemeisters, you want the Grandmeister, or the Grandmaster in English, or even American I guess. So that's the Grandmaster, and it's a master at the game that it plays. It's like chess, but different. Anyway, here it is. I've got the foot pedal too over there, which we're going to talk about, and a bit later on, not in this video, after I've done another video showing you the next item, then we're going to go head to head. Sounds good. Two heads is always better than one. So, I brought my other head with me. That's three heads, isn't it? 1, 2, 3. This one is one of them gym root things. It's an orange amp, and it's a terror. Yeah, but it's a tiny terror, but it's a gym root one. And what they said was, oh, this amp, you know, it's only got one channel on here, don't worry about all that, because it's a great sounding amp, you don't need anything else, they said. And I thought to myself, well, you know, we've got this Grandmaster at the back and the gym root number 4 at the front. Which one's going to be best? So we're going to review this one in another video, and then we're going to put the two together, and we're going to have a bit of a smash out on that. That should be all fun. I'm looking forward to smashing one into the other anytime soon. You will be too. So that's enough about that for now. Let's move on and go back and talk a little bit about the Grandmeister 36. Before we get all too complex about this, there's a few things you got to know. It's not as obvious as what you think it is. You know, you think you come in here and if you look at the Tubemeister, you've got these buttons for channel selection. Well, you haven't on this. There's no buttons. So how do you get to the channels? Well, you've got this twiddly thing here. You see it changing. And I guess that's a channel selector. That's what I'm going to call it, because I haven't read the manual yet. It's still hot from the factory in PRC. You figure out where that is. It's a new name for China. Yeah, so let's take you through this, because it's a bit weird. Okay, I'm in clean, and I've got gain, volume, bass, mid, treble, reverb, master, presence, resonance. All sounds good. But hey, it's all for one channel. But I've got four channels, or 3 channels really. So how's that work? Well, if you actually look at these knobs, they're not ordinary. Well, they look normal, but they're not. What you can do, you can see I'm set up on the clean channel here right now with a little LED. So I can set everything nice for the clean channel. Yeah? And then when I switch to here, well, you notice that boost came on. Well, it came on because that's a new channel, as you might expect. It's a crunch channel. But all these knobs now are fresh. They're not the knobs that were there 2 minutes ago. So you have to bear that in mind, that all these settings are completely independent of the settings that we just saw on clean. That's pretty cool. So then you can move to lead, and then you've got all these settings again. And you can store all the settings for each channel, by the way. You know, it's MIDI drivable. And then you've got, even on the Ultra one, that's loads and loads of settings that are just pre-stored. Of course, there is always a negative, isn't there? On this, there's a negative. If you look at these knobs, they go from, for example, there's a mid, it goes from minimum to maximum. You saw it flash on its way past. Let's just do that. There it is. That's where it gets stored. That's what it was set to. But that's what's weird about it. You can see that on the mid there, well maybe you can't see, but I'm telling you, on the mid it's fully turned off and there's no store light. Right, fair enough. But that's not the real position of the mid for this channel. The real position is when it does that. That's the real position. So now it's actually showing you where the mid is actually set with the little indentation on the knob. It takes a bit of getting used to, but if you can follow what I'm saying, that's an amp that's got all these separate channels with all these knobs for each channel, and there aren't many amps around like that, are there? Well, maybe there's a few, but they always share something, don't they? This one's a little bit different. All very interesting. Let's move on. Okay, we're going to bring the camera a little bit closer so you can get down and have a look close up at the front. Then we'll have a whiz around the back, talk a bit about that too, and you know, discuss some of these effects that are different on this thing rather than the Tubemeister. Well, one thing, we are going to be playing this probably at the end of the video, so if you're not interested in what you're buying, zoom to the end, but you might not be interested in that either, so goodbye Marshall, rock and roll. Well, here I am, round the side. I'm just reading the manual, and it does actually tell you that each one of these channels is a separate channel. So when we're whizzing through them, we've got a clean channel, crunch channel, lead channel and ultra channel. And it says about the ultra channel that this is where you get your tone. I'm sure you get your tone in all of it, but you aren't going to get it so easily because one of the things I do know about these particular amps, a bit like the Tubemeister that I sent back, is that they come all set up with really not very good, usually not very good Chinese tubes, and I recommend you change them out. Get yourself a decent brand of tubes rather than you know, just something that they fling in there just to make it work. Okay, well, let's have a look at the knobs. What we got? We got gain, overall gain for the drive. We got the volume for the channel, but it's not the master volume. It's, you know, don't confuse that with the master that sits down this end. This one is sort of stored. We've got a bass, mid and treble, which you'd expect. We've got a reverb, all very nice. We've got a few things here we're going to come back to. Then we've got a resonance, a presence, resonance, they're always good, aren't they? Especially if you do that chuggy stuff. I've always found them to be very good. Whether it is on this amp's another story. And of course we've got the master volume for the overall volume of the amp. So you can set your channel volumes here and your overall here. A bit like most amps, I guess. Anyway, coming back a little bit, we've also got a boost here. So we can boost even the ultra channel, I think. I think you can do that, yeah. You can boost the ultra channel into oblivion, and you'll boost the EL84s into oblivion too. The amp uses 4 EL84s, and it looks like 3 12AX7s probably. I haven't had them out yet, but no doubt they'll be coming out. The thing about it is that in the Tubemeister, this is something I wanted to talk about just as we move forward with it. In the Tubemeister, they actually had little preamps just on the other side of the input. So what you were really having it was like a hybrid amp because these little preamps on the input side were silicon type of product, and then they drove the tubes accordingly. And these preamp tubes then drove the power tubes. All very nice. What I do like about this though, as opposed to the silicon input that calls itself a tube amp, I do like the transformers, which are oversized transformers on this unit. So that's always very, very useful. Now moving on, just looking generally around the front, we've got a noise gate we can turn in, all very nice and easy. You'll see around the back there's an FX loop, which is also very nice. Just turn that on and off. And then we've got these other two. We've got we've got a store button, and we've also got FX access. Now, what's the FX access about? Well, I'm going to turn that back off for now. If you look at the volume knob here, you can see we've got a C, looks like an F, a P, and a T. Well, that's chorus, that's flange, that's phasing, and that's tremolo. So those are the 4 basic effects in there, you know, that you can use. Of course, you've got the delay as well, delay across there. But basically, when all said and done, these are the sort of effects you've got. You've got a reverb, a delay, and these 4. And I guess if you mess around enough, you'll achieve some other sounds or some other effects that are called other things, because most of them derived from them, aren't they? So that covers really most of it around the front. Right, I'll just show you again now we close up on, let's set it on clean and turn one of these knobs. Set on the preset, that's it there, right there. And we can do the same on every one of these, which is quite weird. I don't think these, oh yeah they do, yeah. I'm not sure about the gain, maybe. Yeah. Barely on. So then we can go and store that and store it as a MIDI channel, on a MIDI channel, which we can recall. Nice and easy, all very good. And you've got the same, if we were to move across to another channel, magically the mid somewhere else, you see that? That's enough for the knobs for now anyway. Let's go and take a look around the back. Now I have got 1 or 2 really nice things about this amp. This is one of the reasons I opted for the Tube Meister in the first place. Some of these things are on the back, all very nice, but you've got all these extra ones as well on this. Let's go from that end and work this way, eh? This is a 230 volt one, and I'll come back to that a bit later when we talk about 230 volts in the UK, in particular the UK. All very interesting what they said about that. Here's your speaker out, between 8 and 16 ohms. And then we come to this power soak section. You can see it. I can have 36 watts with nothing pressed, or 18, or 5, or 1, or indeed no speaker, which is where it was just, no speaker. So when we've got no speaker, the output comes out of this here. This is a DI box, DI out. They call it the red box out. I don't know why they call it that, I don't really care. But you've got a cabinet emulator there, which you can have on and off, very nice. And you've also got this thing here called TSC. Yeah, what I think this does is it does its best to auto bias the thing as it can. And you'll notice when you start turning these off, 2 of these lights will stay on permanent, because those are 2 tubes that have been turned off. Well, the other way around, the ones that are off are the ones that are turned off. One or the other, it doesn't really make much difference. You've also got this little button here, or this little hole that you put a pick into. And this section magically works its way through the preamp tubes, showing you how well they're matched together, which does help, you know, better matched tubes, better sound. What more can you say about that? Moving along, we've got this noise gate. That wasn't on the Tube Meister. And we've got a line out to power amp. Well, fair enough, we had that before. We've got an FX loop, and we've got MIDI in and out. And that really tells you the Grandmeister 36 back end. Never seen a back end like it, actually. Let's have a look. Funnily enough, once you actually look underneath the amp, where I didn't look before, it tells you all about how to, you know, with the tube status monitor, and how to get this tube matching readout. All very nice. CE approved mark, ROSH compliant. More can you say? No, we all want to look inside, don't we? To look at that build quality. Just see what you're getting for your money. And don't forget, you're going to be able to hear it at the end of the video. And there'll be a review on TonyMcKenzie.com, going in much more depth than any video that I do. They always are. Always better on there. So don't forget to go and have a peek at that. Let's go get the sides off and have a look underneath. Well, here it is with the lid off and the 2 end plates. Not a big job, just a few screws to pull it apart. And these are the typical sort of preamp tubes in there. So let's put one of these out and see what we've got. Maybe they are some brand, yeah. Maybe they're not. Well, there you go, made in China. So the first thing we'll do is we'll whiz them two out. And we'll see if they bothered to put a decent tube in this one, which is probably the one that matters. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Pull it out. Guess what? It's exactly the same, so there you go. There's the three of them. I'm going to be changing those with some other tubes. Well, these are the sort of tubes I'm going to be putting in there. I tend to use TAD or TAD, Tube Amp Doctor. Seem to work well for me in nearly every amp I have, really. So I'm just going to fit them now. So that's got those out the way. So let's have a look what we've got in these other ones. I can guess. Take one out. Yeah. Well, it's not that much wrong with them, but they're coming out anyway because I've got some better ones. I'll take them out and show you the other ones. Okay, so what's going to go in the place of these things here? These are EL84s, Sovtek, made in Russia, 06-2010, and they're a very closely matched set. I do know that, so I'm going to proceed to take them others out and fit these in, and I can tell you now, these are a better tube. Make no mistake. Well, here we are inside. Now, one of the things is, I did take a quick look inside the Tube Meister 36 before I sent it back, so to speak. Just take the bottom off and just have a quick look. And it had a lot of similar things like these here. These resistors that get hot, that's why they sit on the board like that, because if they actually sat on the board, they'd melt it. So these things here tend to be designed that way. That's the back board, you can see very clearly. We've got a little board at the front on this amp. I think this thing will be the one looking after all those switches of effects and things. Well, it definitely is, because there's the knobs. You've got an outboard here, and you've got the main board behind all of this. You can just about see it through there. Not a lot to see, and I'm not really going to pull it apart to the nth degree. Maybe we'll zoom in and have a little look a bit closer in a moment, but there's only so much I'm going to do. Also, we've got all these connections across here. There's rather a lot of them, and who knows over time what they'll be like. Probably be okay, I guess, but who knows, we shall see. Now, you see the power supply over at this end. In comes your power down here. There's your power transformer. Wouldn't really say that it's settable for 120. I don't see any wires just dangling down that you could go and use, so don't try doing that. Got a couple of fuses way back in there. Should be nice and fun, a bit like some of the Marshalls. You can see in there, you can see some nice capacitors. Like I said, the build's quite nice. Can't argue with that, I guess. But there's not really that much to see. I'll do the best I can for you. I'm not going to strip it all down. Got a board in the end there. So put it on the side. Yeah, doesn't really show you anything. So I'm afraid on this one, we're not really going to see much except for the build quality. And the quality's there, fair enough. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But like all Chinese products, it's not just the build quality, not just the design that claims to be other places. Maybe it is, maybe it is. This one was made in week 21, 2013. I can see it down there. Maybe you can. But it also bear in mind that a product like this does take away a little bit from people who want employment in the Western world, because you ain't getting it. These guys are the Chinese. That's just life. I'm back. Well, here we are. It's fired up again and all raring to go. At least I think it is. Looks that way to me. Point is that I just checked those tubes that we fitted, and the amp tells me that they're a perfect match, which I'm glad they are, because they cost a lot of money to get that done. The only problem is, of course, that if you buy an amp like this and it comes with the tubes it comes with, well, they'll work, there's no doubt about that. And you might have a good set, it might be a great set. Some Chinese tubes are very good, some of them aren't. But the point is this, that if you want to do what I just did, it's going to cost you some money, because there's about easily $150 worth of tubes there, on the top of what you bought the amp for, and the amp isn't cheap. Yeah, so I don't know what it's going to be in America, but it's not cheap here. In fact, I'll tell you what it cost. Hold on. Here's my friendly Toman invoice. Pity you can't read it. It tells me it was 985 euros. That's about 870 pounds, 880 pounds, give or take. So that's about $1,200 plus the 150 for the tubes. That's $1,350. That's probably $1,400. Maybe it'll be cheaper in America because you don't pay the 20% that we do. But anyway, that's what it cost. And the pedal, which I'm going to show you in a minute, cost about £130. That's 147 euros, or about 180 US dollars. So it's all money, and it all adds up. I've got the form to send it back if I want to. Not that I will. I'm going to keep this one. Well, at least for a week. So let's get the pedal out and take a look what we get with that. We'll come back and have another quick look at this. Now, hey, listen up. What are you guys going to be saying? Why waste your money on this thing? Well, for starters, it's bent. Can you see that? It isn't actually bent, but it does look as if it's bent, doesn't it? I suppose it gives you that layout across the stage. Oh, very nice. Well, I could have gone and bought a Behringer. I think it's an FC1010 or something like that. But you know, one of the biggest problems with the Behringer, I tell you what it is, it's called a BIOS. And you have to go and then faff around and go and get another BIOS and things like that. Well, it's all well and good, I can do all that, but I've got better things than the Behringer out there, such as a ground control or one of those other ones, MIDI Raiders. Them are quite good too. But I opted for this, and the reason I opted for this is, I tell you straight, it's very simple. And that's exactly it. It is very simple. You plug it in and it works. And it works first go. There's no faffing around setting up. There's no what channel's this or any of that rubbish. It just works. Actually, I hate to say this because I'm as new to this as you. I'm just like you. I just bought this damn thing. You've got a little switch on the back here. Here it is. It says stomp box mode or preset mode. I've got it set on stomp box mode now, so it's all good. There's the boost on and off. See, if you can see that. Down there, maybe you can't see. Maybe you can see it now. You see that going on and off? Oh, nice. I like it, don't you? And then we've got the various channels, and you can see that it does actually move across. Because when we're in that other mode. So, all you do is you buy it, you plug it in, and it works. How good is that? So we can boost up there or not. We can tap here. It's not plugged in, so you wouldn't hear much. And we've got modulation we can turn on and off. Funny thing is, it doesn't really show you on here any of that. Nevertheless, you plug it in, it works dead easy, and away you go. So would I buy one of these? Well, maybe not me, but I know a lot of guys would buy one of these, and it's really solid stuff. So it's one of them things you're going to be able to throw around. You can see here, approved one of that now. So it's got all the stuff, away it goes, it's all rock and roll. One thing I just got wrong a bit earlier, this resonance and presence, these two on the master section, I said, oh, they're just there, aren't they? Well, they're in the master section, they apply to everything. Well, they do, but the resonance and the presence can actually be programmed to a setting. So you can store your setting in there, and away you go with custom resonance and presence per setting. And it's 128 settings. Oh. Now I'm going to get the manual out and read a bit to you about what you can control with MIDI, whether you've got this or not. And one of the other good things about this, you can actually have two controllers, two variable controllers. You know, there's sort of volume type of things that fit in the back. But you can get the cheap ones if you want. I often do that myself. Skinflint. We can control a lot of things. And I was just looking at the list here, and I'll read them to you, just so you get a bit of an idea. Modulation intensity, delay time, volume, mute on or off, mod FX type, gain, bass, mid, treble, resonance, presence, modulation speed, delay feedback, delay volume, reverb volume, power soak switching over 5 different sectors, channel switching, 4 sectors, mod FX on and off, delay on and off, reverb on and off, FX loop on and off, the gain, hard set, volume, hard, noise gate on and off, and boost on and off. Well, man, that's a lot. That's a lot of controlling, and you can assign these pedals to whatever you will. Reminds me a little bit of the old tri-axis. I used to one of the things I used to do was to program a pedal so I could change either the gain or the tone. You know, the mids or the leads, the boosts or the bass or whatever you fancy. It's one of the best features of a tri-axis at the time. In fact, it was probably one of the only preamps in the world that could do that. That's a real tube amp. Okay, coming back to those FX in there, what we do is turn the FX access on. It's telling you that's what it is, and we can move this to chorus or whatever you fancy. Now we're on C for chorus. We can adjust all this other stuff up here. Intensity, delay if it's applicable, feedback, delay levels, all sorts of things in there. When we've had enough, we can just store it just by holding that twice like that. Did you see it flash? Maybe you didn't. Let's twizzle one of these around a little bit. You just keep your eyes on that little flash. And that was it stored into the bank that you set to. So on this one, from the factory, you've got 4 clean, 4 crunch, 4 lead, and 4 ultra, right out of the box. And that's one of the things about buying something like this. If you're not a MIDI type of guy, and I know there's lots of guys that aren't, that's one of the reasons that some of those you know, simulators or emulators aren't so popular with guitarists, I think, some guitarists anyway, is that they like knobs, and they like tubes, and they like simplicity. And it's the simplicity that makes the product very desirable, really. You don't want to be sitting there for 10 hours faffing around, oh, what do I do next? You know, and some people just hate doing that. I'm one of them. I'm back. I never really went anywhere except down there to pick that up. Now the question is, which one would you buy? Admittedly, a lot of guys don't have the money for the one at the back. They have the money for the one at the front, maybe. These are about, I think, £420, or maybe a little bit more in England. That's about $600 or something like that. And it's about 460 euros, give or take, I don't know. This one was one of those returned ones, back to Thomann. And I bought it. They often give you 10% off, but you still get a 3-year warranty. I couldn't find a single thing wrong with this one, so I decided to keep it. And I shall be keeping it for a very good reason. One of the reasons is that it sounds awesome. This one, by the way, just while we're on the subject of these 2 amps, and there's going to be the shootout later, this one comes with JJ tubes, and I didn't have to touch a beam. I pulled it out, I plugged it in, I turned it on, and you have this awesome sound, albeit on one channel. Trust me, you can go 7 watts or 15 watts. Even at 7 watts, it's bloody loud through a 4x12. And at 15 watts, you never get to flat out. In fact, the settings that you see there are typically on 7 watts. What you do in the studio, nice bit of drive, you'll just faff around a little bit, but I can even do that. You can do the usual bass up, treble up and mid off and things like that. So the shootout between these two is going to be very interesting. This one's riddled with you know, features and quote benefits, if you count the light as one. But this has got a bit of orange on it. So it's going to be very interesting. I'm going to be playing this one anytime now, and this one's going to be reviewed separately, and that's going to be played, and then we're going to put the two together and let them fight it out. Yeah. One last thing before I go. We seem to do that. I'm not going to be coming back and talking about this one so much, except to say what I'll say now. I like this amp. It's overpriced for a few effects. It was about £250 dear. Actually, I think it was more than that. It was about 350, 400, 350 pounds dearer on retail, give or take. That's a lot of money difference, and you don't get, by the way, you don't get this pedal for that money. So the pedal's extra. So what are you going to do if you haven't got a pedal? That should be fun. So it's a very expensive amp for something that's made in the PRC. You read the box, it says made in PRC. That's a new word. Yeah, they don't say China anymore. They're trying to confuse you with the People's Republic of China. Made in PRC. What a devious little trick if you didn't know any better. Yeah, so there you go. We'll move on another video and do the gym route number 4 down there. And then we'll get them head to head and see where we go from there, and we'll have a winner. Maybe on the final video, guys, you want to vote for which one's best for you, and we'll see who comes out on top. All very interesting. Really looking forward to turning this on out there. See you in a bit. Oops! Just wanted to tell you, you get one of these with it too. There you go.